Give me big old buckets of butter beer. Give me big old barrels of butter beer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here of the sweet old butter beer.
Welcome to the Three Broomsticks. We invite you to pull up a chair, grab a butterbeer, and settle in for a hearty discussion about Harry Potter. I'm Sierra Obermark.
I'm Sam Williams.
And I'm Ev McLaughlin.
And today joining us, we have the one, the only, the awesome, Hayley. Woo!
Hi, Hayley.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello, thank you.
Welcome to Hayley.
Hayley and Sam and I have known each other for years. And
It's 14 and it's scary. It's fine. It's okay.
We don't talk about that.
No.
And yeah, we've been besties for basically since day one when we decided that because we hadn't done the soccer workouts over the summer that we were going to be best friends. And if we all died, then we died together. So
Yes, and that's exactly how it worked out.
yes, exactly.
Because you have Horcruxes.
So, Hayley, do you want to tell our dear listeners and us a little bit about you and your Potter history, your Hogwarts house, your journey to Potter, maybe your favorite book and character?
Sure. So I am a proud Ravenclaw. I've taken the quiz many times, and it's always the same. So I think I am a
Yay!
tried and true Ravenclaw. I think I'm the only one in my family. My sister's a Hufflepuff. I'm pretty sure my husband's a Gryffindor. My kids,
Oh, yes.
yet to see, but, you know, I hope there's another Ravenclaw in there somewhere.
Surrounded by idiots.
Yeah, basically. So I think I found the books when I was about Harry's age when he started. I'm pretty sure I read the books like very close to like I was the age that Harry was, which is like that's how
cool.
it is for all of us 90s kids, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I think I started reading like 5th grade, maybe 6th grade, and it just lit a fire right away, and I cannot stop. And I'm pretty sure I've read the entire series every year since graduating high school. So that's a lot of times, but I won't tell you how many. And my favorite book is Prisoner of Azkaban, which I know is a popular one, but it literally is just, I mean, it's the best book.
So
I think it's the best movie, and I will stand by
Yes,
that.
good.
And my favorite character
Good.
is Lupin.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's a
Very
mom.
nice. Very nice.
Uh,
Are you Team Raven or Team Eagle?
I would stick with Raven.
Really?
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it does make getting merch easier.
That's true. I mean, Eagle's
If you're
cool,
not a
but
purist, yeah. If you're happy
yeah,
with Raven.
I'm fine with the classics.
Very quick, strange fact about ravens. There are, of course, in the same family as magpies and crows, Corvus family. Do you know that also blue jays are also in there? They're like the non-goth version.
Yes.
Everyone else in the family is like, we're all Regulus Black. We're in Slytherin. And then the blue jays are like, but I am a proud Gryffindor.
It's the Thor of the family.
And quick
It
fun
really
fact about
is.
eagles. You know, when they show eagles in the movies, like a bald eagle, and it's supposed to be so majestic, and they have that sound that's like, ah, you know, like a crazy eagle sound. Did you know that's not the sound the eagles make at all? That is the sound
not one bit.
a hawk makes. And they just use it as an eagle sound because the actual eagle sound is like so ugly. Horrifying.
Yeah,
So
I'm
there
too
you go.
kind of
dolphin-y, but
expect the eagle sound to sound that way.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I've heard that before. Uh-huh.
movieisms. As you can tell today, listeners, we're talking about magical birds. No, I'm kidding.
No, we're not, actually. But today, for episode number 37, we've gathered to discuss the yearly journeys from Hogwarts, not to Hogwarts. We've done that already, but from Hogwarts. So, Sam, who has bought us drinks today?
A huge thanks to my fellow namesake, Sam Omen, over at Patreon. Thank you for buying us this round and keeping the lights on at the 3 broomsticks. Thank you, Sam. Yay. Thank you. Good. Fantastic.
We do need those drinks. It's quite late here where I am, so it's half 10 at night, so we're going to need those drinks to keep going.
Oh, yes. But is the sun still out, Ev?
Oh, no, it's gone.
No, it's gone down.
It's done.
We're not quite near.
Yeah, it's
not near summer times.
Yeah, the weather has just switched very quickly. It was really rainy and really cold, and now it's really sunny and really warm, and I just don't really know what's going on anymore.
Welcome to niceties.
But having read all the kind of end chapters, because that's where the journeys from Hogwarts are, like quite often the weather that's described is actually quite similar to the weather I'm having today. So that kind of put me in the correct frame of mind. So to start us off, I just thought I'd share my kind of first impressions. So what I did before this episode, I thought, okay, I'm going to be really diligent. I'm going to get all my books because I don't have any e-versions, so I get all the physical versions. So I go to the back of them and see what are the journeys from Hogwarts like. So what I've noticed, apart from there really isn't as much text devoted to coming back from Hogwarts as opposed to going there. Apart from that, I've noticed the majority of the books have similar structure with regards to coming back from Hogwarts. There's usually some recap, which makes sense, I think, given that you're on the train, you're on Hogwarts Express for all of the Hogwarts years apart from Book 6 and Book 7. And when you're on a train, I looked up how long the train from Edinburgh to London would take. And I know they're not going to Edinburgh, they're going to Hogwarts, but Edinburgh is in Scotland, so it's close enough. It's about 6 hours.
Oh, wow.
So that's a substantial amount of time, So that's enough time to get all your exposition in and tie up any of the loose ends, which I feel like that's what's happening a lot of the time. So we're on the train. We're coming back from Hogwarts. There are things that happen. We look back on the year. We tie up the loose ends. We play lots of games, usually Exploding Snap comes up a lot. We play chess. Hexing Malfoy is a popular game. Sometimes just Malfoy, sometimes his cronies. This is my favorite game. Then there is an element of let's keep in touch. So how are we keeping in touch over the summer? And then once the train arrives to platform 9 3/4, we meet the Dursleys.
Boo.
So, and that pattern pretty much persists for books 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we don't really get to see the journey for books 6 and 7.
So just as kind of a interesting thought on the chapter titles in regards to the ending of the books, it did seem interesting to me, like before we go through them, it seemed interesting to me how none of them really have anything to do with like leaving. It almost is like whatever happened previously is being wrapped up. And so it's all part of that chapter. And so it's more like what happened before they left. And so I felt that almost all of them didn't really seem like, oh yeah, this is the last chapter, with a couple exceptions. But when I was reading them, I was going, is that really what the last chapter is titled? So that was kind of interesting to me. But just to kind of go through what those are. So for Sorcerer's Stone, chapter 17, it's The Man with Two Faces.
AKA Coral has an actual butt face.
For Chamber of Secrets, chapter 18, Dobby's Reward.
AKA Harry's Cursed Future of Christmas Socks.
Prisoner of Azkaban, chapter 22, Owl Post Again.
AKA Suck It, Ron.
Ouch.
for Goblet of Fire, chapter 37, The Beginning.
AKA squash Rita, Hermione. Do it!
I bet you really wanted to.
Oh, for sure.
Seriously. For Order of the Phoenix, chapter 38, The Second War Begins.
All right, so I don't really have a joke for this one. It's just like I thought we already began. It's called The Beginning in Goblet of Fire, and then it's like, The Beginning, which introduces the book where the Second War actually begins, and then it's like, but didn't the whole thing really begin in book one? What is happening? Why is everything beginning at the end?
There's a lot of beginnings.
So many beginnings.
Section is beginning.
Maybe J.K. Rowling just really has an aversion to endings, and that's why we just keep beginning. She's like, that word is taboo. Don't actually do it in.
Ending is just another beginning or something.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, very true. Mm-hmm. It'd be really funny if the rest of the chapters were all just the beginning of Dumbledore's death and the beginning of Harry defeating Voldemort. And just like...
Well, I don't know. For Half-Blood Prince, chapter 30, we do have the White Tomb, which is pretty ending.
AKA Dumby Dead.
That's true.
And then for Deathly Hallows, chapter 36, The Flaw in the Plan.
AKA give Sam a heart attack the first time he read it, thinking somehow Harry was still gonna die. Because it was, oh my god, there's a flaw in Harry's plan. My god. Also,
plan. Yeah.
Seriously.
if you put all the first words of each of these chapter titles together, it creates the sentence, the Dobby Owl, the.
An excellent sentence. That should be a poem and win all the awards.
The Dobby Owl, the.
If you skip all the thes, man Dobby's owl, beginning second, White Flaw.
White Flaw. Is that the chapter title? I think that's the episode title. Man Dobby Post. Beginning second White Flaw. It's like a bad newspaper title.
It really is. It's one of those ones where you
Headline.
read it and then you go, there has to be a meaning here. I'm so confused.
Man Dobby's Owl, beginning second White Flaw. What? I must read.
Oh, man. Hold on, I'm writing that in the
In the
summary.
The summary. Oh, that's the new clickbait. That's how some executive who secretly listens to our podcast over at CNN is going to be like, that's the new clickbait. Just make it really vague and confusing.
It's like his guilty pleasure, because people ask him, oh, what are you doing? What are you listening to? And he's like, oh, so I'm listening to this podcast. These people that just can never stay on topic, and they're hilarious. I love them.
That would be amazing. If you're out there and you're listening,
man.
plug us.
Can you imagine meeting a man named Dobby whose owl began a second White Flaw?
So, Sierra, tell us about the logistics.
So, yes, the logistics of kind of the who and the what and everything about traveling away from Hogwarts. So in Philosopher's Sorcerer's Stone, I don't know that it's exactly stated who's in the Hogwarts train compartment, but I'm sure, we've got Harry, Ron, and Hermione, unknown other potential people in there. But
Peter Pettigrew.
They take the boats back to the station, which I think is interesting.
This is a huge missed opportunity to...
Yes.
First years go to Hogwarts in the boats. 7th years after graduating do the exact opposite, where they leave the way that they arrived.
Yes.
I don't know why they
that's
do
what
this at the end of
actually
first year.
Because I thought
No.
that's what J.K. Rowling said, that Hermione gets to go back to Hogwarts and that they all go on the little boats and they return, and symbolically this is them leaving Hogwarts. So when I was rereading this chapter and I noticed that the first years arrive on boats and leave on boats, I was like, what? I completely forgotten that they leave on boats in the first year.
I mean, yeah, it's just like kind of a throwaway line.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're it's sandwiched between the warnings not to use magic over the holidays, which Fred Weasley says, I always hope they'll forget to give us these. And then, which we never hear about again. Which, you know, because Fred's saying this, it sounds like they give it every year, but apparently we only hear about it one year. And then they board the Hogwarts Express. Yeah. And so it's like sandwiched just really quickly right in between there. It's literally one giant sentence full of semicolons.
Yeah, it really is. My God.
Holy moly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's like 6 semicolons in here.
Oh my gosh.
So many options to stop the sentence, but the drive to continue on really survived well.
Because we needed to pack trunks and get into platform 9 3/4 in one sentence. And we did.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot. So yeah, it is really like thrown together. It's unspecified who all is there. But they eat Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. And they change before they get to the station. So that's kind of what we know about the logistics of the first book. And then in Chamber of Secrets is when it starts getting a little bit more specific. We've got Harry, Ron, Hermione, Fred, George, and Ginny all in the train compartment together.
And I pulled out a quote there about what they're actually doing for some of it. The played Exploding Snap set off the very last of Fred and George's filibuster fireworks and practiced disarming each other by magic. Harry was getting very good at it.
He better.
Which, as we know, it's Harry's favorite spell, so he's, you know, we can see the beginning of his Expelliarmus greatness in Chamber of Secrets.
The fact that all of them are not dead after setting off filibuster fireworks inside a train compartment is a miracle.
Well, I mean, they're clearly magical fireworks and not the muggle kind that are basically explosives with colors.
True. Very true.
That's true. That is true.
I would also have to imagine that at least some of them are being like shot into the hallway or out the window or something like that.
But wouldn't the trolley lady come in with her claw hands and just maul Fred and George to death?
That doesn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about. There's no claw hands on the train. I will stand by this until the day I die.
Hashtag cursed child is canon.
In Prisoner of Azkaban, we are on the Hogwarts Express yet again. We've still got Harry, Ron, and Hermione, but special guest Pig. Woohoo!
Hi, Pig. Hoot, hoot.
So I was very hoot, hoot. Yes.
Hoot, hoot.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. That really tickled me.
The butterbeer is a potent today.
Oh, it really
thanks
is.
to Sam Omen.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Listen, I like Pig as a name very much. Pigwidgeon is actually a very pretty name. I think that this owl is very cute, and I like it all together. And yet, I will still say this is my least favorite Ginny action of all of them, is the fact that she takes Ron's bird and is like, yeah, no, I'm going to name it. And like Ron doesn't get very much, and he doesn't deserve very much, as you will hear throughout this entire podcast. But he gets to he deserves to name his pet. And Ginny's just like, nah, f*** you. Its name is Pig.
Yeah, but Ginny doesn't have a pet at all.
Yes.
But that's okay. Ginny's going to get Harry. She gets to bag the chosen one.
Well,
it's
she
fine.
gets Arnold.
Well, she doesn't know that.
Oh, Arnold.
Not in Prisoner of Azkaban.
Oh, she does. Yeah, she does. It's her lifelong plan. She saw him when she was 10 years old on platform 9 3/4 and was like, that boy is mine.
That is disturbing, and I refuse to believe it.
We don't know that if Ron had the chance to name Pig, if he would have picked anything better.
Yes, but he deserves to name it.
Because
If he
Pig
wants
is
to.
a replacement for Scabbers.
Scabbers. I mean, I don't think Ron named Scabbers either.
Scabbers,
He didn't name
But still,
Scabbers.
that's
Percy
a pretty
named Scabbers.
terrible name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, whoever named Errol did a nice job because it's like Greek mythology thing. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter if Ron names the bird, shite or lemon drops or my cantankerous penis worm. Like, it doesn't matter what he names it. He deserves to name it.
True.
That's true.
Yeah, but anyway, the important thing is that Ron now has a pet
That's true.
Who is not, in fact, a man disguised as a pet, but is an actual pet. So
fair point.
The bar for the quality
gets
of pet
enough.
is very low, but Pig has cleared it awesomely. So
Agreed.
I'm not
will
saying
say
anything bad about Pig. Pig is good.
I always wanted more Pig in general.
Yes, of course.
I know everything's from Harry's perspective, so we get a lot more Hedwig, and she deserves everything, but I wanted more Pig.
But, you know, Pig doesn't die like a loser, so...
Ooh. Harsh.
Every time, Sam. Every time. How
Have you no respect?
dare you? No, he has no
Haley,
respect.
this is-
for
No
them.
respect at
This
all.
is something that we have as like a rolling bit on the pod is every time Hedwig comes up when Sierra and I are on the pod, I figure out a way to mention that she dies just so Sierra gets pissed off.
Just to make me angry. Every
Yep.
time. Oh my gosh. Well, in Goblet of Fire, we are once again joined by all of the animals hanging out in the compartment with Ron, Harry, and Hermione, who are then later joined by Fred and George to play Exploding Snap again, which is fun. After, of course, hexing the ever-loving shite out of Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle.
Turning them into cantankerous penis worms.
God.
Sure.
That's not going to be a thing. That's not going to be a thing. It's not going in the doc anywhere. You stop
I don't know,
it.
could it be a title of the episode?
No.
Not if Sierra has
don't
anything to
think
do with
so.
it.
I don't think that our lovely censors will allow this to go through.
Do we have censors?
Yes, his name is Patrick. And he's fantastic.
Oh, dear. I'm sorry about that. Forget I said anything. So, another thing that happens during the journey back in Goblet of Fire is Daily Prophet gets mentioned with regards to hushing up the events. Hermione's checking Daily Prophet for news, which is exactly both of those things are going to continue happening, except Harry's going to be doing them at the start of Order of the Phoenix. So it's a little bit of foreshadowing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the big Rita reveal
Yes.
is happening, which is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's admirable how Hermione contained herself, and because I'm sure she wanted to
Squash her.
say it a lot earlier, but obviously the events was not. Yeah. So her social skills are coming along nicely, to be fair, because I think had it been even a year or two before, she would have just said it as it happened. I'm just thinking of the Lavender and Rabbit and how well that went.
Oh, God.
Dumbledore's like,
timed
Cedric Diggory's dead.
So
Cedric Diggory's dead, and Hermione's like, I caught Rita Skeeter!
it's like, well, yes, aside from Cedric being dead, this amazing thing happened. I thought it might make you feel better. It's like, no, Hermione, too soon. Wait for the Hogwarts Express.
Go straight up to Amos. Listen, I know your kid's dead, but I just caught Rita Skeeter doing something illegal.
How
And
cool
just
is
like,
that?
my boy!
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So another thing I was thinking when I was reading that part was if Grace was here with us on the podcast talking about this, she would probably say that Hermione should feel really bad about putting Rita in the jar. And I would say no. She should not. And I would do the same. I'm sorry. I'm a bad Gryffindor. Well, maybe I'm a good Gryffindor, but a bad person, or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. You're learning to Grace would think that Hermione's learning too much from the Weasley twins.
Yes.
Yeah, it's rubbing off on her, I think.
But I think the Weasley twins would make Rita in bug form swallow conniving snack box items and then bleed out accidentally.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so you know that song, There Was an Old Woman Who Swallowed a Fly?
Yes.
Rita.
So imagine it's like that, but with a beetle, but the beetle is Rita Skeeter.
Oh no.
There is a young Hermione who swallowed a beetle. Nice. The average one is better.
Jeff, as our resident wizard rocker, can we please have a version There is an old woman
Yes.
who swallowed a fly, but with Rita
Please.
Skeeter in a
Somehow
jar. I don't know
worked in
how you're
there.
going to do it, but I'm sure you can. You're very creative. Because I would love to hear it. I think it'll be hilarious.
That would be amazing. Stay tuned.
That'd be great.
If this becomes a song, we'll make sure.
Yeah,
You
we'll
heard
put
it
it on the
here
Patreon
first.
if it becomes a song. So
Yeah,
Exactly.
sounds great.
Order of the Phoenix, again, logistically, still on the train. We've got Harry, Ron, and Hermione as usual, but then we've got Ginny and Neville as well. Hanging
yeah,
out.
there's the whole DA battle on the train, which is brilliant.
So fantastic. So amazing.
Yeah, I just think Order of the Phoenix is weirdly very uplifting.
Yes.
Like, it has those moments that are just so uplifting, and just, you know, people having just kind of taking agency for themselves, and I just love it. Just do. But it's also
So
my
true.
favorite book, so.
Well, especially in juxtaposition to the end of Goblet of Fire, where it's like, hey, Mr. Handsome Boy was murdered, and
Yeah.
nobody really believes Harry, and he's back, and it's the beginning, as the chapter says. So then Order of the Phoenix is like, it's kind of like how at the end of Moulin Rouge, the musical, you know, the movie ends sad, and that's okay because it's a movie, but a musical, you want people to end happy, and so they you know, the main character chokes on her own blood and dies, and then they have this very upbeat song to get everybody out of their seats and have a good time still, and that's kind of what has to happen at the end of Order of the Phoenix.
I have not seen it. Now I'm curious.
Yes, well, everyone should go see it. It's a fantastic musical.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, Order of the Phoenix, like, Cedric dying is hard, but Sirius is way harder, and so the uplifting needs to occur.
Right.
Yeah, so I think you might not necessarily get to have everybody happy, but you want to give some kind of hope, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's like reminding us that. Also, I feel like Order of the Phoenix is the true coming of age. I mean, the whole series is obviously coming of age, but like that one's a turning point where Harry, he's not like things aren't happening to him anymore. Like he's like, you know, taking charge. So I feel like after those bad things, after Cedric and Sirius, we needed a little reminder, like, yeah, but look how far he's come in this book. Like, he literally became, like, the teacher of all these kids and united them, and they're a team. And then, like, remember, that's still, there's still that.
Yeah, that's great. It's Harry's beginning, as you might say.
Oh, yes, another beginning.
Oh, there you go. It is beginning as a leader. There we go.
Yes, true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Half-Blood Prince.
And then, yeah, so then Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows is where everything diverges. We don't make it off the grounds at all in either. At least in Half-Blood Prince, we still have, well, actually, in both, we still have Harry, Ron, and Hermione kind of spending the last time together. Last moments of the book are still spent with the three of them. And so it's kind of nice, even though it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting in both of these. It feels like Rowling being a little metacognitive about her own series in terms of we spend so much time in this castle, and it's the place that most people as readers call home, right? They come in, and this is the special grounds. And so at the end of Half-Blood Prince, she knows that it's not really possible to have extended time at Hogwarts for book 7. So we are getting this big reveal of like Harry's not coming back. And here's time for us to be on the grounds. We're not going to leave. We're actually not going to go onto the train and have a moment to say goodbye. Instead, we're going to use all the time left in this book to give the readers this moments of being on the grounds still, which I think is really cool. And then conversely, we just got back to Hogwarts, and instead of leaving, we do get a platform 9 3/4 scene in the epilogue, but instead of leaving the grounds, and it'd be so strange if everyone just like, all right, well, let's hop on the train to get back to London. Like that would be not a good way to end that battle.
Yeah, that would be weird.
So strange. Bring your dead on. Put them in compartment 4.
Oh, God.
I mean,
So-
it's possible that there was a chapter that featured the return with the train, but I mean, as you said, you couldn't go immediately from the funeral to Hogwarts Express, so there might have been a little bit extra, and I wonder if it did exist, and I think it could have, just because Rowling quite likes structure. I think she likes structure, so I wonder if it got cut.
I wonder, that's very possible. I think that the end product stands for me as the best decision, though, because I like that allowance of last minute time
Yeah,
with
like, I mean,
the
I'm not
grounds.
upset about it, but I wonder if
Yeah.
it did originally exist maybe in a first draft or something.
Yeah. And then in 7, she gives us time to just stay on the grounds and not just battle mode, which I thought was really kind, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And I also like how in both it's not just the three of them, but they're kind of also saying goodbye to Dumbledore in both of them
Yeah.
as well. Because in
Yeah.
Half-Blood Prince, you have his funeral and they're, saying goodbye there. But then in Deathly Hallows, they're speaking with his portrait. And so it's like in both of those instances, the person who one of the first two people we see or magical people we see in the first book he like makes a reoccurrence at the end of both of those stories and I think that's really I want to say because in my mind it's like Dumbledore and the castle are basically one in the same because through so much we see how like the castle has its allegiance to Dumbledore and like that's the place where everybody's like, well, it's safe because Dumbledore and even though it's not, but that's fine. But it's like they really are kind of like one almost like character from just a like protection standpoint. And so I think it's nice to have that moment reoccurring not just once but twice, where in Half-Blood Prince they say goodbye thinking they're never going to speak to him again, and then they actually do get to speak to him again in whatever form a portrait really is. But I like it, and I like that also not just Harry isn't asking Dumbledore's permission to do whatever he's doing with the Hallows. He's telling him what he's doing. And so it's like the first time that we really see Harry standing up and saying to
Dumbledore-esque figure.
Dumbledore specifically, but also anybody in kind of Dumbledore's role as like an authority figure that Harry actually respects, that he is saying, like, I'm an adult. I've made this decision. This is what I'm doing with the cloak. This is what I'm doing with the ring. This is what I'm doing, or I guess the stone. And this is what I'm doing with the wand. Like, he's just saying, this is what I'm doing. And Dumbledore is agreeing that those all sound like wise decisions, which is very different than what we see in all of Half-Blood Prince, where Dumbledore is saying, here's all this information. This is what you probably should do with this information. Now go and do these things for me, for us, for the world. Whereas Harry's kind of doing these last things for the world, but also for himself. Like, he's keeping the cloak, and he's making the decision that nobody should have to deal with the other two Hallows ever again. And so I like that very different version of a Harry Dumbledore relationship.
Mm-hmm. What was hitting me while you were talking was that the train is really the saying goodbye to magic, because he's going back to the Muggle world each time until the 6th and 7th books, when he's not saying goodbye to magic for the summer. He's not, the Muggle world isn't his home anymore. And so it's changing. He's not going away from that.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's almost unneeded to close out the magicness.
Yeah.
Right.
End of year feasts.
End of year feasts. Yes. So I thought it would be interesting to also just tie into this whole Journeys from Hogwarts, just what the end of year feasts look like. Because I feel like it is part of that goodbye every year. And yeah, so it's very interesting. So in Philosopher's Sorcerer's Stone, we have the classic favoritism. Slytherin misses out on winning the House Cup because of Dumbledore last minute
and
points.
for a very good reason.
This is fair. For good point. For good reason.
I keep telling you, the best way to find Dumbledore in a crowd is for someone to be like, Slytherin won the House Cup, and Dumbledore just out of them, 50 points to Neville Longbottom!
Hey, Slytherin won the House Cup for 6 years prior to that.
7 years in a row.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, 6 years.
They're fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
This is true. In Chamber of Secrets, again, Gryffindor wins again to last minute points again.
Love it.
But the interesting thing this year is that the feast is done in their pajamas and it's very chaotic. And I was just thinking that would be super fun if that was every year, that the farewell feast is a pajama party.
Yeah, and I think it also says that it went on all night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Seems
Which
like
also seems like a fun tradition.
What normally happens.
That would be great. I would love to send sleep-deprived children home in the morning and struggle to get everybody on the platform. The pajama party thing sounds cool for first and second years, and then I, as a teacher, would start to stress out, especially trying to wrangle the 6th and 7th years to wear something appropriate to the feast.
I don't know. I feel like
I would be acting simply how Snape was, just standing outside of Slytherin and hexing his students back in to be like, Pavarti, something more appropriate, please. Malfoy, you can't wear that sheer fishnet shirt.
that
doesn't sound very comfortable.
Well, no, you stand there and you just have the heads of house waiting as they're all walking out, and they're just transfiguring their clothes into appropriate attire.
Or just give everybody uniform pajamas.
Yes.
So you just have your pajamas in your house colors.
Or you do the classic public school thing where you just have to wear a giant unattractive shirt over whatever you're wearing, even though it's because, boys can't see shoulders or they'll go insane, apparently. So
Shoulders, you say?
Shoulders. It's like the equivalent of ankles.
See, now we have to cancel the entire podcast because you said the word shoulders and now Sam can't concentrate. And we don't even have cameras on. It's the word shoulders that did it.
Stop saying it! Anyways, Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes. In Prisoner of Azkaban, Gryffindor wins again, but this time it is due to their Quidditch prowess, not last-minute point fixing by the Dumbleman.
I'm sure Snape...
Gryffindor!
Fly high, Gryffindor! Anyways, I'm pretty sure Snape wrote the Board of Governors after this one being like, listen, the headmaster cannot keep allowing this. We've never heard about how Quidditch, gets into the House Cup system before this exact moment. So I'm fairly sure that Dumbledore was just writing new rules at midnight going, all right, so I can't just hand him. No one can know that he saved his godfather or the hippogriff, so I can't just hand out random points for being and collecting this feather from a hippogriff last night. 125,000 points to Mr. Harry James Potter. Instead, he had to be okay, so they won the Quidditch World Cup. You know what? Why don't we just start assigning little point systems if you win the Quidditch Cup? Awesome. That's it. I did it. I broke the system. And Snape's just dear God.
Well, I think, that would be really funny, but I do think it was one of those foregone conclusions, because the way that it's described is very oh yeah, and because they had done so well. So it's more an obvious, everybody knew that they were going to win because they were so ahead by all their points.
And they never won the House Cup again.
And then they never won again. Well, technically nobody wins again. Because in Goblet of Fire, we have the memorial for Cedric instead. In Order of the Phoenix, I guess someone won, but Harry skips the feast to wander the castle and runs into Luna looking for her belongings. So
one of the best scenes ever.
So good. That definitely solidifies Luna.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm thinking it would have been Gryffindor again, because otherwise somebody would have told Harry, have you heard this? Can you believe this?
No, remember,
won the House Cup.
It's definitely not Gryffindor because the Inquisitorial Squad has the power to take house points away, and when they come back that next day, McGonagall gives 50 points to each, which is crazy. She takes 50 points away from them from being out of bed their first year, and then for bringing to light Voldemort has returned, she gives them 50 points each, and so it's a measly couple of rubies floated down into Gryffindor's empty time
yes.
thing or whatever. And then oh, and I suppose, and she like as an afterthought has to be like, oh yeah, and Miss Lovegood too.
Yeah, but I don't know. So I feel like Slytherin or potentially Ravenclaw could have
100% Slytherin won with the Inquisitorial Squad.
But would after Umbridge isn't there and the Inquisitorial Squad is done, wouldn't someone be like, well, clearly this was all rigged? And they'd probably just
really
have canceled the whole thing.
It'd be really funny if Sprout was just like, Ernie, what'd you say? Hi. For politeness, 10,000 points.
That would be amazing. And then Half-Blood Prince, we've got Dumbledore's funeral instead.
Bummer.
And then in Deathly Hallows, though, we do have a feast. It's kind of slapdash, and it's in the Great Hall. The house tables are out, but everybody's jumbled together. You've got Centaurs and Grop hanging out the window, having food thrown in his mouth, and everybody's chatting and laughing and grieving, and it's just very interesting.
In a leaked early rendition of the chapter, Crookshanks was killed by being thrown into Grub's mouth.
Is that for real?
No, of course not.
No. Okay, but for real though, where is Crookshanks and Pig?
Yeah.
Eaten by an acromantula for sure.
No, stop having people eaten by acromantulas. Or eaten in general, or swallowed whole. Stop it.
I was wondering that too, because we have that nice scene on the train previously where they're all together with their pets.
Right.
And then we don't really hear much about Crookshanks ever again.
Yeah, we don't really hear anything about Crookshanks we hear about Pig sporadically when Ron's getting letters or he's sending letters. But other than that, I guess if Ron is supposed to be at home with Spattergroit, then it would only make sense for Pig to stay at the Burrow. Where supposedly
is Crookshanks in Australia?
That's my question. Is Crookshanks in Australia with her parents?
It feels like it must be.
I hope not, because it's a very far journey for a poor kitty.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they have to be quarantined.
Crookshanks could have been such a legit character, because think about the role in Prisoner of Azkaban. Like, Crookshanks did a lot. And
so much.
Clearly such a smart animal. Could have done something in the final battle, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and Crookshanks is at Grimmauld Place with them.
Oh,
in 5. But then I guess when they have to... Yeah, because it's like, I guess, like, technically Creature could be taking care of him, but I don't know. Or, like, he's half Kneasel, so, like, technically I guess Hermione could have just set him free.
No.
But I don't think she would.
Well, maybe Malfoy is looking after him.
Oh my god, I love that.
Such a good idea.
That would have been good.
It's 100% not happening, but it's such a good idea.
So
I would love that.
Oh man, that's such a fun little nod.
That's my new headcanon.
Yeah. And then after the battle, Hermione gets Crookshanks back.
Yeah.
I'm sure during the battle, Crookshanks and Mrs. Norris took the chaos as an opportunity to finally get it on and make babies.
Mrs. Norris.
Oh boy, I do love that Mrs. Norris is mentioned though.
Yeah,
it's very fun.
Oh man.
So yeah, but so I just thought that was interesting because it almost follows like a similar pattern to the Hogwarts Express, where we have specific feasts in 1, 2, and 3, and then we kind of skip the middle, but then we have a feast again at the end. So it's like another full circle type moment. And it makes sense. The years that we don't have feasts shown, or have them at all, makes sense why we don't. So I don't miss them. But I guess I didn't realize that there was 3 in a row that we actually don't get.
Yeah. 'Tis a bummer.
So then kind of the next, of what you were talking about right at the beginning with like, there's all these patterns, of kind of the formula of what all these leavings and goodbyes look like. I really liked the patterns that you found. So I wanted to bring up one that's like not quite a pattern, but I love it so much that I put it in here. So that's the hexing Malfoy and company. And yeah, it only happens twice. So in Goblet of Fire, it's Fred and George along with Ron, Hermione, and Harry. And then in Order of the Phoenix, it's Ernie, Hannah, Susan, Justin, Anthony, Terry, Harry, and Ron.
It is so satisfying.
It's so satisfying. And even though it only happens twice, I will argue that Malfoy is mentally defeated in Prisoner of Azkaban because of Buckbeak, and it's mentioned that he's not like swaggering about the castle quite as much because his father isn't on the Board of Governors anymore. And then also he's morally defeated in Deathly Hallows because he and his parents are just kind of cowering in the corner.
Yeah, I can accept
not sure
that.
that they're supposed to be there. So I'm going to argue 4 times, but technically it's twice. And I also just I love that when they are hexed, like Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle, it's just beyond recognition.
Yeah. What do they become, Sierra?
They become like slug-like. And I'm imagining Lucius and Narcissa's reactions seeing their son just like a hexed blob 2 years in a row. Just like, what did they do to my boy? And trying to find out like who it was and what happened and all that. And we get no mention of it. There's literally zero. It's like, yeah, we just kind of shoved him up in the luggage compartment and left.
We get Narcissa mentioning it in Half-Blood Prince. I've just been rereading that book, and I didn't really realize it was a shout-out to this moment. But she says to Harry at the beginning of Half-Blood Prince, if you hex my son again, or if you attack my son again. And I was like, wait, no, that's Sectum Sempra. Wait, no. This is the beginning of Half-Blood Prince. Oh, this is about the compartment last summer.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I'm occasionally here for other things than just jokes.
And then, isn't that when he gets Harry on the train? On the way to Hogwarts?
Yeah.
You guys have already talked about this. But
the like couple days later,
he does get his revenge and basically does the same thing and leaves him in the luggage racks, but then we actually find out what happens to Harry after.
Exactly. It's total like little mini full circle revenge moment of like being hexed, not being found, hidden in the luggage rack. Yes.
Also, why is the train leaving so quickly?
That is an excellent question.
At the beginning of Half-Blood Prince. Because I know this isn't a journey to Hogwarts, but like, there's nobody on board. Like, can't the train just be like, hey, all right, we're leaving, and whenever people board? Did one person get on the train in a different compartment and be like, all right, take me to London?
I don't know. That's a good question. I wonder if people in Hogsmeade can take that opportunity to take the Hogwarts Express.
Yeah, Rowling said at one point that the Hogwarts Express is not just used for 2 days in the whole year.
Yeah,
that it is a commonly used method of transportation. Yeah. And it has other routes as well.
I mean, there are other reasons to go to Hogwarts from London other than go to school.
I wonder if you have to like request or like schedule the train. Like if you want to take it.
It has a fairly regular schedule and goes to places way outside of England. So, like, they'll go down to France, or you can go out to all these sort of things. And it feels like a much more comfortable way to, like, travel than just being like, all right, here we go, into the tube, like I'm at the bank in the 90s.
Right.
Which is apparition.
Why couldn't they have done that in Deathly Hallows at all? Like, obviously, they're not going to get on the train. They explain that they're not going to get on the train to go to Hogwarts, obviously. Right. Because they're going to be looked for there. But, like, who's going to expect that they're like, yeah, let's go on the Hogwarts Express in December.
Instead of camping, they're just on the Hogwarts Express for 3 months.
That would be amazing. That would be that's like those people. It's like the people who retire and then instead of moving somewhere or whatever, they just like live on a cruise ship.
They take a year-long cruise. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be.
Oh, did he
that
never
would be so
return?
perfect.
No, he never returned. But his state is still unlearned. There's a song out of Boston, Massachusetts that's all about this guy who gets stuck on the train because they raise the prices and he can't get off anymore.
Oh,
it's a
no.
political song, but we used to sing it at summer camp all the time. So that was
so
part
funny.
of it. Oh, man, what a great hiding spot. We're on the train, Voldemort. What you gonna do now?
That would be so good. I like that.
Yeah, Voldemort has no authority on the Hogwarts
Express.
railways.
He wants nothing to do with Muggle
It's
technology. He's probably
it's entirely
working for
separate.
Pious Thickness to try and, deregulate it. Get it completely out of here.
Also, like in a lot of folklore, magic doesn't mix well with cold iron. So, I mean, it's clearly not really a problem in Wizarding World because
Right.
Hogwarts Express is enchanted to some degree.
Yeah.
Although we're never explicitly told in what way.
Yeah.
So I
Maybe
don't
it's
know.
just enchanted coal. It makes it go very slow. It is interesting that so my preconceived notions about the journeys from Hogwarts is it's like, all right, we do some sort of wrap up. There's exposition, there's games, there's joy, there's loose ends, and then also every single time they hex Malfoy. That was in my head for some reason, and so then when we're doing this research, I was like, yeah, cool. Wait, they didn't hex Malfoy in 1 or 2 or 3. This only happens twice,
Right?
It's just so good that it burns into your brain and you think it just happens all the time.
It really does. Yeah.
But I literally did the same thing. I mean, I did what Ev did, and I have a stack of all my books sitting right next to me. And I went through and I looked and I was like, really? I could have sworn that they talked to him or whatever, and no. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. But I think that's I don't know. It would have been a nice Malfoy, because on the journeys to Hogwarts, it's one of the themes is Malfoy always comes and pesters.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be the reverse where then they get their comeuppance against him every year. But no.
Nope.
But I think in some ways it's even more satisfying that they don't, because when they finally do, it's this big pileup of people. So it's almost like they're just getting extra for all those years he was pestering him.
Right.
Not just for the year in question, for all of the years. Yeah. I also like the combination of that spell with the tentacles.
I was literally just looking that up because that's one of my favorite lines. Oh yes. Interesting effect, said George, looking down at Crabbe. Who used the furnunculus curse? Me, said Harry. Odd, said George, lightly. I used jelly legs. Looks as though those two shouldn't be mixed. He seems to have sprouted little tentacles all over his face. Well, let's not leave them here. They don't add much to the decor. I love that.
I guess that's how the new spells can get developed. You do something like this and go, oh, tentacles on the face.
New
Oh,
combo.
interesting, yeah.
How can we do this on purpose next time?
Right?
What are the practical uses of that?
Well, there's clearly one just in front of you.
Yeah. I also, in order, when they hex them, there's a great line about that too, which is, hold on. I must say, I'm looking forward to seeing Malfoy's mother's face when he gets off the train, said Ernie with some satisfaction. And then it skips down. Goyle's mom will be really pleased, though, said Ron, who had come to he wasn't actually part of it, who had come to investigate the source of the commotion. He's loads better looking now.
Mean. Fred and Georgie mean. That's so funny.
So, yeah. But yeah, so I was slightly off. Ron does not participate in the hexing of them that year. But he does investigate and make the great comment about Goyle.
Yeah.
So continuing on with the pattern, let's keep in touch is something that happens in some form in pretty much all of the books. Mm-hmm. So in Philosopher's Stone, we get this line, "You must come and stay this summer," said Ron. "Both of you. I'll send you an owl."
That he never gets.
Yeah.
And I think this is another theme. I found like a sub theme of let's keep in touch, which is that it either doesn't happen as planned or it happens like in a weird way. But yeah, it doesn't seem like they really follow through 100% on whatever the let's keep in touch is.
No.
Yeah, doesn't that kind of follow the real life though? You know, the way
so true.
You meet somebody and they go, yeah, let's keep in touch, let's swap numbers, whatever. We'll do this, we'll do that, and then you don't, or barely do, or you know. So it's kind of true to life.
We should totally FaceTime.
Yeah. Let's get a coffee.
Yep.
Never seen again.
Exactly.
Yeah, so in Chamber of Secrets, Harry gives Harry and Hermione his telephone number, with somewhat disastrous results later on. But Hermione never calls. I wonder why she doesn't call.
I wonder this as well, because like when Ron does call, he totally messes it up. But like Hermione knows how to use a phone. Like surely she could have called on his behalf. Or like I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into the Fred and George of the situation, but they definitely could have helped Harry get his own like secret phone line to communicate out. Like I just imagine like Hermione being like, hey, Harry needs to communicate in a way that like won't tip off the muggles. Like, and Fred and George are like, we're on it. Let's go to let's go to Dad's
phones.
shed.
Yeah, exactly. We can do this. We know Muggle technology so well. Oh, that's so funny.
I just feel like they could have all collaborated on that and made it happen.
There's a very reasonable explanation as to why Hermione never called. Hayley was reminding me of this earlier before we started the pod. This is the summer that Hermione had her whole own solo adventure where she lived with the original Centaur colony in Greece, and she saves her parents from the Medusa descendant superstar Madonna.
Is that like a normal holiday for dentists?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very. Well, they get stolen
Yes,
in Greece. They travel to Greece for a little fun for a dentist conference.
Yeah, I was going to say at 13.
And then Madonna steals them from the dentist conference. And then Hermione has to go on this solo adventure where she has to hide from Medusa Madonna and live with the Centaurs, and then eventually saves her parents.
Okay,
No?
so there should be a fan fiction about that somewhere. Yeah. I'm sure.
I feel like if her parents have lived through something like that, she wouldn't have needed to hide them during the war. Like
They were stoned, you know? They didn't remember anything. Lightly stoned.
I see.
The whole trip, lightly stoned by Madonna.
They would add something to the decor.
Oh god.
Don't hang your hat on my dad.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. That would be, yeah, that's definitely got to be in a fan fiction somewhere.
They're in one of Madonna's music videos. They're in the background. Just Hermione's parents.
Oh man.
Then in Prisoner of Azkaban, Ron yells, "I'll call about the World Cup." Does he call?
No.
He sends a letter with a bajillion stamps.
Well, Mrs. Weasley does.
This is true. But like, why don't
They're trying to appease the
Hermione
Dursleys.
these things? Or have her send the letter. She's coming too.
Yeah.
Like, why do they not think, like Arthur would think this. Arthur would be like, we know somebody who knows Muggle stuff. We should ask her all these things. Hello?
No.
But you see, you're assuming that you are assuming that he knows that he lacks competence in this area.
Yes.
So
yes, precisely.
Asking somebody for help requires that you realize and have self-awareness to go, oh, actually, I'm not entirely sure how to do this correctly. Who can do this correctly? Oh, my Muggle friend can do this correctly. I will ask her. But I don't think he knows he needs the help, so he doesn't ask.
Mm-hmm. But like, even the line in the letter, though, I do hope we've put enough stamps on. Like, that already, like, mentions that maybe they're not 100% certain they've done this correctly.
I think that they had that thought at the very end of everything and went,
It's true. It is a PS.
Like, this has got to be it. This has got to be the right way.
Yeah. See, Arthur's too oblivious to know that he doesn't know what he's doing, and Molly is too proud to ever ask for help.
My question is, now being a parent, thinking if I had a magical child, I'm picturing from Hermione's parents' perspective, would you not be at the Weasleys all the time? I'd be like inviting myself over. Like, can I, like, can we go to the house where everything cooks itself and like, you know, like, can we experience? Like, I would be begging to experience more magic, you know, through my child.
Seriously, though.
Like, they're, like, just content to continue living their muggle life knowing that their child can do magic? Like,
it might make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Can we be more part of that world?
I think they live too far away from each other, though. I think the Ottery St. Catchpole is down in the southwest of England, and I forget exactly where Hermione is, but it's over a 20-minute drive, so no one in their right mind in England is actually going to drive that
But
distance.
their friends are magic and can get them there faster.
So what you're thinking that they ask Arthur to apparate and then side apparate everybody with him over to the house?
Just connect their house to the flue.
That's illegal! You're gonna get another inquiry!
Why are you gonna get an inquiry? They're part of the magical community now.
No, they're not.
They're
just
not.
Like the Vernon,
it's not
the Dursleys
international
aren't.
statute of secrecy. They can go into Diagon Alley.
The Dursleys, remember in book 4, he says, I had to pull a favor and get your fireplace hooked up for this house, which isn't normally allowed.
Yeah, but he's not their child.
No, but they are his caretakers. No, stop. You know that's not semantics.
I think it's semantics. I also think Hermione can do what she wants.
The good theory for evil Hermione. Thank you. I will be logging that away for next time Irvin and I bring up that Hermione
can do what she wants.
I think Hermione is also more comfortable keeping her wizarding life and her muggle life separate.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I feel like she might feel it's tricky to integrate the two together, so she just keeps them separate.
Mm-hmm.
That's FOMO, true, though, true. From the parents' perspective.
She's in Greece this entire time. She goes back to Greece.
Well, they go on the skiing holiday a couple of times, I think. Or at least once.
Yeah. And she slays a troll by shooting one of her skis off of her foot with a jetpack.
With a jetpack? I'm sorry. What?
She conjures a mini little jetpack.
That's fake news. Never mind, Sam listeners.
Oh my gosh.
She conjures a jetpack onto her ski and sends it right through the esophagus.
Anyway, in Goblet of Fire, Mrs. Weasley says, I think Dumbledore will let you come to us later in the summer. Keep in touch, Harry.
Hints, 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 hints.
She lies. Dumbledore never lets her go. Never lets Harry go to the Burrow. Instead, he actually does something quite kind, which is he gets Sirius, his house, and uses it at headquarters, makes all the Weasleys and Hermione move there, and then comes and grabs Harry and is like, look, I put all your favorite people in one place.
Yes, away from you. You're welcome.
Away from you. I forgot to get you. Yeah. Sorry, kid. I knew I was missing something.
I also don't, I know that Harry has to go back every year, but, it's never specified for how long.
We know the shortest amount of time in the next book.
Yeah. But, seriously. Come on.
I feel like, does anybody actually know? Because it's, the whole blood protection thing is this kind of ancient blood magic that's kind of fallen out of favor. I wonder if there's actually records for, specifically how long Harry actually needs to be there to keep the protection active. Or is Dumbledore just guessing?
Well, I mean, it's Dumbledore.
It does seem like Dumbledore's playing pretty fast and loose with the definition of home.
Yeah.
He's just sort of like Charlie from It's Always Sunny, with all the string being like, all right, so if he's here for this amount of time and is here for this amount of time and he says home once and he does a backflip at their front porch, I think we can let him stay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in Order of the Phoenix, it's probably my favorite.
Send off.
Let's keep in touch and send off and everything for multiple reasons, which we'll get to. But this one is, take care, Harry, said Lupin quietly. Keep in touch. Harry, we'll have you away from there as soon as we can, Mrs. Weasley whispered, hugging him again. We'll see you real soon, mate, said Ron anxiously, shaking Harry's hand. Really soon, Harry, said Hermione earnestly. We promise. So I guess Dumbledore coming to get him. I mean, I guess that does count as real soon.
It's 2 weeks.
Like, it's sooner than any of the other times.
Yeah, it's only a fortnight, which is kind of crazy. Like what I was alluding to earlier with just like fast and loose with the rules. Like apparently you can only live in a house for 2 weeks during the summer and call it home. So technically, I think I should have Irish citizenship for the 3 months I lived in Galway back in 2015.
Although, hang on. Doesn't Harry say that he gets 2 months off for summer?
He does.
So halfway through summer, then halfway through summer holidays, which is 4 weeks.
No,
then.
but it specifically says fortnight.
Oh, does it? Okay.
At the beginning of Half-Blood Prince, he says that he's there for a fortnight. So he does 6 weeks at the Burrow where he falls in love with Ginny, his future wife, and smells that flowery substance every day for his whole experience. And then Amortentia is like, hey, she's the one, and he's like, I guess. But so he's there for 2 weeks at the Dursleys, sort of just waiting for Dumby to show up. And then contrary to popular belief, he is not just riding the subways of the London Metro looking for a girl
I hate that part so much.
Although Dumbledore standing in front of the perfume billboard is fantastic.
Oh, it's a classic. I love just seeing that. That's wonderful.
That's the only good part of that entire sequence.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even get me started on that movie.
I'm more upset with what it replaced than...
Yes,
how
because
it
we
exists.
didn't see Dumbledore and the Dursleys interacting, which is just prime,
fantastic
amazing
scene.
comedy. The glasses knocking on the sides of their heads.
Yes, exactly. It would have
his
been
just
so
snide
fun.
comments. Ugh.
Hayley, I was unaware. Do you have strong feelings about the Half-Blood Prince movie?
I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it
Pray
so
tell.
much. I remember specifically going to the theaters and, being so excited. We waited so long for this. I'm like, and Julie and I looked at each other. Julie's my sister, my little sister, also Harry Potter fan. After the movie, I mean, even during it, we're like, what's going on? Like, where's the vibe? The vibe's not here. The vibe is not what we expected. Like, what's happening? And now I've, from things I've learned after, like, Daniel Radcliffe was having a tough time during the filming of that movie, and like the writers and this, and I also have strong feelings, which might make people mad about the newer Dumbledore actor. I just
Michael
don't
Gambon.
think that he is Dumbledore. I mean, he is.
You can share that. There's opinions.
Okay.
Around.
Yeah, I think he's great for like the tough scenes that Dumbledore has to do, but like as far as the whimsy, it's absent in my opinion. And it would have needed the whimsy to have the comedic scenes. But then they put in a lot of comedy in that movie that I felt like was unnecessary or like not appropriate for the scene. Like,
You didn't like Ginny tying Harry's shoe?
oh gosh, the whole Harry Jenny thing was horrible.
It's so good in the books.
So good.
Like it's just
It deserves so much better.
The only good part, which we've talked about on this pod before, but the only good part is George seeing them in the hallway.
Yeah.
But that's in Deathly Hallows.
I know. I'm saying of Harry and Ginny's relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Is the only
Yeah, that
good
one
movie
moment.
is just George.
George, holy George. But surely you, Hayley, you loved the addition of the Burrow house being set on fire by Bellatrix and them running through all the...
Who doesn't love that?
Oh my gosh. Seriously, like that's when we were just like, we're like, what?
I mean, we clearly cut out the whole parts of the book just to have that scene in it. Because it was just so great.
And then the next time we see the Burrow, it's fine again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's about
just
third
very
of the size.
confusing. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah, that was a hot mess in my opinion. That movie I've probably seen less than 10 times, which is saying a lot considering the amount of times I've watched the rest of them.
Patreon people, if you fundraise for $100 over the next month, we will get Hayley on a video chat where we all watch Half-Blood Prince together.
Agreed. I'll do
Great.
it.
I'm in. That sounds great.
Fantastic. Please give us money.
We'll make it entertaining.
It'll be great.
From the point of view of staying in touch at the end of Half-Blood Prince, we get this lovely line from Ron going, "We're with you, whatever happens." Which is also a title of the Lauren Fairweather song that I'm going to mention later when we're listening to the jukebox.
Nice.
Yeah. Sure, Ronald, Bilious Weasley. Whatever happens, right?
Whatever happens.
Whatever happens.
So nobody's perfect, and the intention counts.
But I'm sure intention.
The sentiment at the moment of time was sincere.
I would say impact supersedes intention, though. I think that should be his quote for his tombstone. It just says, "Ronald Bilious Weasley, we're with you, whatever happens," followed by beloved father, fine husband, mediocre lover, and a big stinking liar when he was 17.
I like that.
As I said, he's not perfect, and he realizes errors of his ways and comes back. So,
kind of,
which is better than could be said about a lot of people in real life. So,
I think Harry just drilled into them so much in Order of the Phoenix that he needs emotional support and confirmation through words that people care about him and think about him. That Ron's like, I know, I'll say something really nice. It's like such a classic dude move, in my opinion. Like, I read this book. It told me how to be emotionally sensitive to people, and I'm going to say this line and not follow through with it at all.
Pokes out his little tiny pocket diary.
To be fair, it's difficult to know how you're going to react, especially when you're younger, to the circumstances that will happen in the future. So
yeah, who could predict?
He had no idea what they're getting themselves into.
That's true.
Who could predict wearing a bit of Voldemort's soul on his chest?
He is intending to come with Harry and do what needs to be done.
Right.
I mean, when they were in that situation of, camping and everything, he didn't deal with it well, but he didn't know in advance how he was going to deal with it.
True.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like we can cut him a little bit of slack there.
None. No slack for Ronald Bilious Weasley ever. I love this vision of Ron pulling out a little like how to be emotionally supportive friend book out of his pocket and glancing down and be like,
pamphlet.
"Yeah, Harry, we're," and then glances, "We'll be with you no matter what." Oh, shit, did I say that? Whatever happens.
I'll do my best to be a good friend. No, I should say, whatever happens.
Whatever happens. Yeah, good.
Now I'm just picturing Sheldon Cooper and, they're there, have a fun
a
beverage.
Big Bang Theory. yeah, exactly.
They're very similar in
Harry.
that respect.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
We might all get killed, but it'll be fine.
And then, Deathly Hallows, it's a little more... I kind of went back a little bit before the very, very end, just because it seemed like the order was kind of switched around with all these things in Deathly Hallows, which is kind of understandable. But I thought the best example of this would be when he's thinking about Ginny. He's seeing her with her family and says there would be time to talk later, hours and days and maybe years in which to talk. So I think that's like we're okay for right now, but we will communicate, we'll keep in touch, we'll et cetera, et cetera.
Unless Draco Malfoy's child changes everything and everyone gets erased from existence.
Yes, but that won't happen, so it's fine.
It will, Sierra. No. Funnily enough, it will happen.
No, it will not.
And then Harry will just watch his parents get murdered.
And in the meantime, we are meeting the Dursleys.
Yes.
So, yes, that's another thing that happens pretty much in most of the books. In Philosopher's Stone, we have Mrs. Weasley having trouble believing Dursleys are trash. And in Chamber of Secrets, Hermione is having trouble believing Dursleys are trash, which is kind of understandable. I've noticed that as well. As somebody who has kind of a tricky relationship with my own parents, people who have good relationship with their parents, they really have great difficulty believing that it's not just a universal thing.
Mm.
So they just get very confused, and they go a little bit like Hermione and Mrs. Weasley is like, well, of course your aunt and uncle love you. And
They'd
then,
be proud of you, right?
yeah, they're proud of you. And Harry's like, all the time I could have died and I didn't manage it, they'd be furious.
Savage line.
So savage.
Good snark, Harry.
And things improve considerably with regards to dealing with the Dursleys in Prisoner of Azkaban, because Harry now has a godfather who is a convicted murderer, so he can scare Vernon with the notion that he's being watched by a magical murderer and he better behave himself.
Which kind of continues.
It works so well in Goblet of Fire.
It works so well. Yeah, because in Goblet of Fire, Vernon doesn't even come over there. Like, he waits beyond the barrier. He lets Harry, like, say goodbye to his real family in peace, and doesn't even, like, approach. We don't even see Petunia and Dudley. We just kind of assume that they're in the car, which is interesting. And then in Order of the Phoenix, just in case he needed a reminder, the whole order is there to scare the pants off of them, which I love. We just Moody, Tonks, Lupin, Arthur, Molly, Fred, and George all ganging up on them.
And what I want to know is why they didn't put that at the end of the Order of the Phoenix, because that would have been such an uplifting scene to leave on. And it's not like it would be difficult to film, so they can't say, oh, I'm sorry, we're run out of budget. That's literally people on the platform.
Yeah,
it's because all of those actors were unavailable due to the fact that they were too in Greece living with centaurs.
Oh my gosh. They couldn't
in Greece
afford
with Centaurs, our episode title. Sam.
Maybe.
But yeah, no, it's seriously though, I do think it's brilliant, and Harry finding his really at the point of the Order of the Phoenix. I think he's at a point where he has his found family.
Yeah.
And he has this taste of being a leader, and he is a lot less bothered about Dursleys.
By the Dursleys, yeah.
I think. And I think it possibly in the Order of the Phoenix, as he's walking away from the station, he's actually walking away in front of them, and they're following behind. Which I thought was kind of symbolic of where he is now mentally and where his relationship with Dursleys is. So he's not really scared of them anymore. It's just he has to put up with them a bit.
Yeah, Half-Blood Prince just totally breaking the pattern, as we kind of mentioned before. Like, we don't even get back to London to see the Dursleys at all, and there's no real mention of them, which is fine. Because then by Deathly Hallows, they're long gone and good riddance, so... As I've said.
Yeah, I mean, what we don't know about that is what we got in one of the supplemental volumes that just came out a couple days ago by Rowling, that definitely exists and is not a joke for me, is that Creature, who kind of goes insane after making some soup for Harry, and then Harry never comes back, goes looking for the Dursleys and murders them in their sleep with maggots that he put in that painting that one time.
Sam, are you okay?
Oh, totally
He's
fine.
Never okay. He's
Very
never
good.
Okay. That's his secret. He's never okay.
Oh my god!
I'm starting to feel concerned.
Am I Bruce Banner? What's happening here?
Exactly. The Bruce Banner of dark thoughts.
The Bruce Banner of dark Harry Potter thoughts. Sam Williams.
What's dog sense?
Oh, really, Cooper?
Sorry, Cooper's here.
I hear
Hi,
him,
Cooper.
and it's very cute.
Yes, he promises to be quiet.
That's fine. I might have to get mine. She's starting to cry and won't listen to me when I say, go turn on your light.
Nice.
She doesn't like that she's in the
Would
dark
she
right
like
now.
to hear the last sentences in all of the 7 books?
I think that she would.
Oh, okay.
Happy basically Mother's Day in the United States, because it's tomorrow when we recorded. Welcome to all the children and myself, who I am a mother of many and none. All right, last sentences of each of the book.
Yes, so this was my favorite part to do. I just thought it would be fun to have a look at the last sentence of every book and see what we think about it. And the Philosopher's Stone, we have, I'm going to have a lot of fun with Dudley this summer.
I love that.
And in the film, this line went to Hagrid.
Boo.
Well, maybe not exactly, but the gist of it. That he suggests to Harry that, Dudley isn't going to know that the magic is not allowed. I'm not entirely sure why they gave the line to Hagrid, because it would have been quite fun to hear it from Harry, because it would show that his confidence has grown over the year and the beginnings of his trademark sass. And I was just thinking it reminded me of something my son's school principal told me once. He said, "Oh, he's getting a bit naughtier, but the less said about that, the better." Which I thought was brilliant. I was like, okay.
I love that.
That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, they probably just, I think in general, in the first two movies, they kind of gave a lot of moments to adults because they didn't want to do as much Helium Daniel.
Oh.
He's not Helium Daniel. That's just his voice, Sam.
He's just a small child.
I'm quoting Daniel Radcliffe when he said, "I hate listening to the first two movies or watching the first two movies because it all sounds like we're on helium." So you take it up with the Radcliffe.
It sounds like they're children. Imagine if they were children and they had those deep adult voices. That would be worse.
Oh, gosh.
Excuse me. Who are you?
Rubius Hagrid, keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. Of course, you'll know all about Hogwarts.
Sorry, no.
No? Blimey, Harry, didn't you ever wonder where your mum and dad learned it all?
Learned what?
You're a wizard, Harry.
You knew? You knew all along and you never told me?
Of course we knew. How could you not be?
This is Scabbers, by the way. Pathetic, isn't he? Just a little bit.
And you are?
Ron Weasley.
Pleasure. It's true then, what they're saying on the train. Harry Potter has come to Hogwarts.
Harry Potter.
You'll soon find out that some wizarding families are better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there.
I think I can tell the wrong sort for myself, thanks.
Oh, no. Okay, relax.
Mental, that one. I'm telling you. Can you imagine the look on McGonagall's face if we were late? That was bloody brilliant.
Oh, thank you for that assessment, Mr. Weasley.
Guardium Leviosa.
Look, stop. You're going to take someone's eye out. Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. How could I be so stupid? I checked this out weeks ago for a bit of light reading.
This is light.
If you two don't mind, I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed. Or worse, expelled.
She needs to sort out her priorities.
Okay, so this was the Philosopher's Stone. Then in Chamber of Secrets we have, and together they walked back through the gateway to the Muggle world.
Apt, succinct, cool, good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, that's what they do. They leave the platform and go back, and
And then in the Muggle world.
holidays have started. And Prisoner of Azkaban, we have Harry set off towards the station exit, Hedwig rattling along in front of him for what looked like a much better summer than the last. So for context, that's after he has threatened Vernon with the murderer.
Yes.
Goblet of Fire one I really like. It's the Hagrid quote. As Hagrid had said, what would come, and he will have to meet it when it did.
Which is an all-timer and very not true for Ron.
Sure, but it's from Harry's point of view, so Harry would have to meet it when it did, and he did.
True.
So.
Yeah, he did fine. Great. And Ron sucks at it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Both things can be true.
Yeah, so Order of the Phoenix one is quite nice. It's kind of follows another sentence. Basically, the gist of it is that Harry was so happy to see all these Order of the Phoenix people come to see him off, and he wasn't quite sure how to express what it meant to him. So then the last line after that is, instead he smiled, raised a hand in farewell, turned around and led the way out of the station towards the sunlit street, with Uncle Vernon, Aunt Petunia and Dudley hurrying along in his wake. Yeah, so I've mentioned this already. He's grown in confidence. He's a leader now. He doesn't have to take any crap from the Dursleys. So he's leaving. They're following. Great. Good for you, Harry.
Yeah, I like that.
It's awesome. Fantastic.
And then in Half-Blood Prince, we have a long last sentence.
I like that.
It's the whole paragraph of a sentence. So that's how it ends. His hand closed automatically around the fake Horcrux, but in spite of everything, in spite of the dark and twisting path he saw stretching ahead of himself, in spite of the final meeting with Voldemort he knew must come, whether in a month, in a year, or 10, he felt his heart lift at the thought that there was still one last golden day of peace left to enjoy with Ron and Hermione.
Can you imagine at the end of Deathly Hallows when Voldemort gets defeated and Harry's like, oh, that was way less time than I thought. I thought this was going to be 10-year war. This is amazing. We were done so much quicker than I thought.
So efficient.
This went great.
You just don't get the gravitas of this sentence, Sam, I think. It was a lovely sentence.
It was a lovely sentence, but also made me feel like, wow, of how long this could have gone. The fact that they do this in less than 12 months, because the Battle of Hogwarts is in May.
Right.
So they get it done before a year is up.
I suppose, at the time.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that at the end, like in 11 months' time, last year I had this big monologue moment with myself.
Imagine if it just happened in a month. This is whether in a month, in a year, or 10. Just a month from that day, he faces Voldemort without having done anything in between for the last time.
But imagine if it was 10. How horrible that would be. You'd be settled in your new job and everything, and then
your kids would be involved. Yeah.
I mean, I have read some fanfics where it does take almost 10, and it's awful because it's basically just 10 years of war and
camping,
horrible and not camping.
Hogwarts Express traveling.
If it was Hogwarts Express traveling, that'd be much better than camping.
Oh, absolutely. Centaurs in Greece too. All of it.
Okay, no.
Dobby becomes a man.
You just
has
not
an owl.
letting that go, are you?
I let nothing go.
I will die on every hill.
That's Sam's motto.
Yeah. So the last sentence in Deathly Hallows is, I've had enough trouble for a lifetime.
Then why be an Auror?
Seriously, though.
Just go play Quidditch with your hot wife.
A good point.
I also love that in the doc it's like in all caps, so we have all caps Sam.
Yeah, finally. Here I come.
Yeah.
But it's my book 5 moment.
Yeah, but I think if I was to take your question seriously, I would say because he has a people-saving thing and he feels this is where he needs to be. Even though he'd probably enjoy playing Quidditch more.
I'm sure that comes up in his marriage.
Yeah, all the time.
Ginny's like, you really have this hero complex, don't you?
Mommy, Daddy's teaching me I don't like
Cooper,
it.
you cannot come in here if you're going to be making noise.
Oh, children.
Questions and what ifs for the next several pages of our document to wrap up the main conversation of today's podcast.
Yes. My first question. Does the return trip seem shorter to everybody else, to anybody else? Because going there, it's in the morning to evening. Like I've said, just to Edinburgh is 6 hours. So up into the Highlands, it's got to be more than that. We discussed in our journeys too. It's like an all day thing.
Yeah.
There's no clear mention of time on the return trip, but it does seem like, I mean, and maybe it's because we don't really get a lot more time on the train, but it does feel like it's like, yeah, they played a little exploding snap and they hexed Malfoy a little bit, and then they changed out of their robes, and then they were there. It just feels like they get back a lot quicker. So here's my new theory on that. The train takes as long as it needs to on the way there so that the castle can be fully ready to go. They're doing last minute prep, and somebody at the castle is like, hey, can you slow the train? You need to be like an hour later.
Like, the opposite of Polar Express.
We just need like a little extra time. The house elves did not finish all the food.
Well, that explains Prisoner of Azkaban. The Dementors was just a delay.
Exactly.
You know what?
It was a stage delay.
There was a kitchen fire. We really messed this one up. Yeah. Send the Dementors. I'm sure they'll delay them by a good amount of time.
A good amount. Wow, what an awful way of doing that.
I don't think that's necessary to do, because also when you go into Hogwarts, it's September, and when you're coming back, it's the end of June, start of July, maybe. Yeah. End of June, I think. And the daylight difference would be significant. So when you are arriving in September, that would quite likely be already dark or close enough. Mm-hmm. While in June, it would feel like you have the whole day ahead, even though you're arriving
it's 9 p.m.
after the same amount of travel, because it just stays bright for so much longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I also think even if it is Edinburgh, like let's say that we just put Hogwarts in Edinburgh, this train moves slower than modern day trains. So it's going to take a little longer than 6 hours. And even if you put it in Fort William, where they shoot the actual aqueduct and then built some of the outside exterior Hogwarts walls, it's still only like a little bit longer, like 7 hours, 8 hours. So with a slower moving train, it is probably going to be about 12 hours. And then with the sunlight, all of that makes sense for like realistic logistical stuff. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love the idea of McGonagall using that Stone Knight spell that she uses in Deathly Hallows, and is like, I always wanted to use that spell, to have those knights running around with decorations, panicking for making sure that the students have a great welcome experience to Hogwarts, while Dumbledore is, not doing any of his actual duties, and he's getting some last minute sun in Rio with some board shorts and a wakeboard, sunscreen on the nose and sunglasses, giving everyone around him very confusing thoughts as to why this 150-year-old man is so attractive.
I'm sorry, is he Merlin in Sword in the Stone?
100%.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting Merlin vibes.
Yes.
You know he already is.
You know that McGonagall was so frustrated with Dumbledore so many times throughout these movies.
Times.
Like, rolling her eyes every time he talks, every time he gives a million points for no reason. Like, she's just like, God, this guy.
There's always very good reason.
What a kook.
Yeah, I for both Aloha More Days and Three Broomstick Days, I am very much on the hill that, like, the admin at Hogwarts is only good because of McGonagall, and that Dumbledore's not particularly a good administrator.
Yeah.
Where are the teacher observations? Only Umbridge does them.
I think Hogwarts would be a very different place if Dumbledore was never stressed out by the events that were happening. Like, I want to know, what was Hogwarts like, before Harry came, like for the 15 years before that, but in between, like, when Voldemort was just like peacing out, Dumbledore was probably just having the time of his life.
So much. I mean, he used to wear purple suits.
Stuff. Yeah.
Weird stuff, indeed.
You know what I'm wondering now? Do you reckon Hogwarts Express runs on coal or not?
Yes. They have that lovely steam.
Well, I mean, you can simulate steam with magic if you wanted to.
But who has the time?
So I was just wondering, because obviously, it must be potentially enchanted in some way. So I wonder if it just still runs the way it would have run normally if Muggles were doing it, except you have enchanted shovels that shovel the coal instead of a person.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would be kind of cool.
That's interesting.
In my fanfic, a house elf, who is a free house elf, runs the whole train.
I like it.
Well, you can't run the whole train because you need at least 2 people.
But he's magic.
This is true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if you just want one person to do it, then you'd have to have enchanted shovels. Because usually you'd have the driver and the fireman.
I like it.
Yeah.
Sounds great. So, enchanted shovels. Headcanon.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? So another question / what if is there is a guard to direct kids out of the platform 9 3/4. Why is there no guard to direct them in? Or did Harry just didn't see him somehow?
I think it is mainly because all schools hate children and they don't want them coming in, so there's no one to help them get on the train, but they absolutely do want them to leave as quickly as possible.
That's kind of worrying to hear from the teacher, Sam.
Hayley, does that not sit well with you, former teacher?
I was going to say that the parents are more present at pickup, and so they have to have some more responsibility there to show that they are a responsible school.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Also, understanding is that their parents will show them how to do it. It's just there was nobody there with Harry.
Right. They're like, we're not responsible for you yet, but once we are, then we'll follow through.
We take good care of you.
Also, I think the specific reasoning they give in at least Order of the Phoenix is that they don't want everybody rushing off the train and onto the platform all at once.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to, tip off Muggles. So the ticket taker is releasing them like a couple at a time, which the families are kind of like they're like self-policing as they're getting on anyway. So like they go in groups on when nobody's looking. And so it's more like, I think it's kind of one of those, like, when you're on this side, we're in charge. When you're on that side, parents are in charge. And so it's like they kind of let the parents have a little bit of autonomy on like controlling the situation going in, but then going out, it's like, if 100 people just like stampeded out onto the platform.
What about the parents of Muggleborns though? Like, say, forget about Harry because he's a special case, but say Hermione's parents bringing her.
Well, we never see what that special piece of paper looks like that gives specific instructions to the Muggleborns because Hagrid didn't give it to Harry.
Hagrid is the paper.
That's true. He has probably sat on a...
So I'm sure it specifically says something in that, like, arrive this time to this, like, here's your window of arrival, make sure you're not obvious, like, enter through, this is how you get there, etc., etc. So we almost need a Hermione POV for her arriving at the train the first time just to figure that out.
Okay, no, I see that.
Knowing Hermione, it was 6 hours early.
Okay, so moving on to Chamber of Secrets, Percy's secret is revealed at the end. I'm wondering what you guys think. Why is he hiding having a girlfriend for the whole year? Is it just to avoid discussing it with siblings, or do you think there was some other reason?
I think he just doesn't want his family involved in that part of his life. I mean, already, like, he gets teased consistently in general, and then you add in a relationship to that. And, like, Fred, George, and Ron all try to tease Ginny about her love life. And, like, obviously they've got the brotherly protective overtones, but, like, they're still, that's in, actually in one of these leaving Hogwarts sections, Ron's like, questioning about Michael Corner and like, well, you need to pick someone more, you need to pick someone better. And she's like, well, I've chosen Dean Thomas. Is that sufficient? So I think that, like, even just knowing how they are to Ginny, who they usually don't tease quite as much, like, that would just be way too much fuel for the fire. For them to know that he had a girlfriend.
I mean, not to channel Grace Candido Beecher too much, but I think it's more specifically that he doesn't want to be upstaged or belittled by Fred and George in front of his girlfriend, which is like a fair point to Percy, because Fred and George specifically don't like him the most out of all of their siblings, and I'm sure they would go out of the way to take their Mickey out of or his Mickey out of him. So, friend George. That's my answer.
That's fair.
Yeah, I agree.
That's valid. And at the end of Prisoner of Azkaban, Hermione chooses to drop divination and Muggle studies to have a normal timetable, and then hands in her time turner because it was driving her crazy. But what if she didn't want to drop those subjects? Would McGonagall just let her keep the time turner for her entire time in Hogwarts?
I feel like they would have. I mean, I feel like she would have
so?
let her. Yeah, I mean, Dumbledore is not going to reveal to McGonagall or anybody else about their extracurricular usage of the time turner. And so, like, Hermione's proven herself capable of handling it, whether or not, she misses a class here and there and sleeps in because she's doing a little bit too much, but she's a good enough self-policer to figure that out. And once she drops divination, she already feels better. And so I feel like I have to imagine she's having semi-regular check-ins with McGonagall, and McGonagall would have called it off, I think, earlier had it been really a problem. So I feel like they would have just let her keep using it. Like, they probably would have taken it back over the summer, and then when she'd have to check it in and out every school year. But I can't imagine them not letting her continue using it if she was still going to take that many classes, because she's proven herself capable.
I'm just so confused. This brings up tons of questions about, wasn't it Barty Crouch Jr., didn't he get 13 OWLs or something? Is it only possible to take on this caseload because of time turners? Does everybody who's gotten more OWLs than Hermione ends up getting get them because they all had easier schedules and then they just messed up with Hermione's year and they're like, time turner it? Or did everybody else have to have time turners?
I feel like it probably was a scheduling thing, just the specific classes that she wanted to take just didn't. I mean, that's why I had so many issues in college with figuring out what would work for my credits, because classes were held at the same time, and I'm like, well, I need both of them. I'm like, and I can't take it for another year. So if I'm graduating on time, you got to work with me here.
That's so funny.
So I had to have exceptions made of oh yeah, okay, this will count for your figure painting class, even though it's not figure painting at all. Or this counts for graphic design too, because we don't have graphic design 2 anymore. So here's this other class instead. So I feel like it was just specifically the classes that Hermione wanted to take overlapped in such a way that there was no way to shift it around to make it work. So I feel like these other people, because that was not an option, because the time turner wouldn't have been an option, they would have had to select classes that did work in their schedule and just been sign me up for everything possible.
Fascinating.
And then gone from there.
Stupid.
Yeah, or they could have selected what they wanted, and then their head of house would just say, no, look, you can either do this or that. It doesn't work in your timetable.
Yeah,
right.
I would love to know how everybody that got 13 OWLs, though, managed it, because from what we know about, Hermione took the max caseload, and I know Rowling said that advanced students in Newt could take magical theory, or if there was enough interest, they could take alchemy, but we don't get an option to see how that works, and Hermione already has to do this crazy thing just to take on the max caseload, so I just am confused as to why Dumbledore sucks so hard as an admin.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy that they...
I also wonder if some subjects you're just not allowed to do them both. It's not thought that you should. So I remember when I was in university, there was one year we had to pick, you're either doing environmental science or you're doing introduction to medical physics. And you couldn't do both. Even if you wanted to, they'd be just no, you have to pick one.
Fascinating.
It's what's the reason? We don't know, but that's just the way it was. You can do Muggle studies or you can do divination,
Can't take arithmancy and Muggle studies. Can't take divination and arithmancy or whatever.
Study of ancient runes.
Yeah, but scheduling is hard. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if she did still have her time turner, what would have happened later on because we do have certain amount of character development for Hermione book 3 onwards. So imagine it's Order of the Phoenix and she does have a time turner. Do you think she would use it for something?
I think she'd be 90 by the time she graduated Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Like, she's aging herself so much during this process.
Need to take more classes.
That is funny.
I know. I'm like, I love the time turner because I just love time travel and thinking about it. So I love that for the third one, but I'm glad that they stopped the use of that.
Conveniently destroyed all of them.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. And like, I can't even really believe that they gave a life-threatening device to a 13-year-old, no matter how smart or responsible she is. Knowing 13-year-olds, they think they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it really shows the amount of trust McGonagall has in Hermione, which is kind of
She must
shocking.
know, McGonagall must know that if something goes wrong, she knows how to fix it. I mean, she must, you know, there's another time turner and she knows what to do to not have that happen.
Or McGonagall's just like, under perjury of death, if you mess up, we kill you.
Yeah. And Hermione's like, okay.
Great. Sounds good.
I'll take it.
I mean, I'd rather die than be expelled, so.
It's true.
I also feel like in Hermione's mind, like, knowledge is worth dying for.
Yeah, for real.
So, like,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it shows the extent she's willing to go to.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I love how that was kind of thrown out, like, under penalty of death as, like, kind of a joke. And we're all like, no, that tracks.
No, that's actually facts.
Yeah, for real.
That's real.
Yeah, I don't think Hermione is that scared of that kind of thing, because if you think back when she suggests to make a Polyjuice potion. She's in the second year. She hasn't really been doing potions for that long. She accepts that it is extremely complicated potion, and you know, who knows what if she did it slightly wrong. I mean, what kind of effect that would have on the person who drinks it. I mean, you could be dead, you could be permanently injured.
Mm-hmm. Could be a cat.
Does she care? No, she does not.
That's
similarly
true.
with the parchment in Order of the Phoenix. Because I think she makes up the whole thing. And then does she know what would 100% happen to the person who signs it and then gives them up? And does she even think of what she would do, what that would do to that person, and is that reversible or not? I don't think she does. I think she's very sure of, well, if she does this right, nothing bad is going to happen. So I don't think... I think it's kind of similar with the time turner. She just thinks, well, I'm just going to do it right, so I'm not going to get in any time trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which could have to do with her youth, but I also think that gives her a little credit to why she's in Gryffindor, you know? Not to be offensive to the Gryffindors, but it's her courage and confidence and a little bit of the hero thing and a little bit of the, recklessness.
Yes, definitely.
A Ravenclaw might not have done the things she did, even if they were as smart as her, so that's to her credit there.
Yeah, I feel like they would have done a little bit more of a prep on the risks and what would happen.
Right,
well,
which
Hermione
could have
would
stopped
be like,
them.
It'll be fine. I do it perfectly the first time.
Yeah, and like a little bit of that greater good, you know, like it's for the greater good kind of thing too, and it's sometimes things are worth the risk.
Absolutely.
Then Goblet of Fire. At the end of the Goblet of Fire, Malfoy says, "Diggory was the foot," and then Harry gets really mad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, he's talking about...
what was he going to say?
He was talking about...
He's going to be the first.
That Hermione's going to be because he says Hermione's going to be one of the first to die under Voldemort's new regime. And then he's like, well, actually, no. She'll be the second. Diggory was the... and yeah, as Sierra said, first.
Yeah.
Or it could have been something else. I don't know.
No. Are you reading Drary? Is that what's happening here?
Maybe.
Oh my god.
And also, do you agree with what Harry has done with the money from the Triwizard Tournament?
Yes.
So he gives it to the twins. And I feel like this is definitely what I would do if I was in his shoes, even if it's not the most practical use of the money. For example, in principle, Harry could buy a house and move out from Dursley's because he doesn't know that he needs to stay there for magical protection.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another question I was going to ask you guys is, if a friend offered you their winnings, like Harry offered to the twins, would you accept or would you say no?
For the first part of the question, yeah, I do agree with what he does. I love that that's what he does, especially considering that, like, Fred and George would have had the money had Bagman not been such a shitty person. And, like, Harry knows how much, like, Fred and George have supported him in the past, that, like, they're actually going to put the funds to good use. They have a plan. And Harry doesn't need it. So, like, he doesn't need it. He doesn't want it. He thinks of it as it should have been Cedric's. So I think having the funds put towards something happy is, like, a really good reflection of, like, honoring Cedric's memory almost of, like, this, he should have had it, but if it can't go to him, then it might as well go to something uplifting. So I like it. I think it's really great. For your second part of the question, I don't know if I had like a Fred and George situation where, like, I had a plan,
Ditto.
What I was going to do with it. Maybe it was going to go towards a good cause or something. But, like, if someone just offered me a bunch of money that they won, I would probably be like, no. Like, I'd be like, the only concession that I will make is, like, you can take a group of us on a trip.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'd be like, no, like, that's not mine. Please.
I think it was Harry's grandfather or great grandfather made a hair taming potion product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Sleepy potion.
Yeah. And made so much money. That's the product that Hermione uses to tame her hair in a Goblet of Fire. And, like, I know that company took a huge hit when Gilderoy Lockhart went insane, but, like, he doesn't need the money. And Fred and George have proved all year, like, just in terms of, like, investment, if you see somebody throughout a whole year be that successful with kids, that's their target audience right there. And they've just been able to spend a whole year basically advertising their products and then using them against Dolores Umbridge, and you see how successful that is. Yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to give them the money. That would be awesome. Like, I get to support my friends and I know their products are good. That's great. Plus, Harry never has to shop. Like, in terms of return on investment, Harry's not looking for money and not looking for anything in return, but he never has to buy anything there ever again. Fred and George tell him that at the beginning of Half-Blood Prince. And so, like, when he's head of the Auror office, he doesn't have to tell Hermione, oh, hey, Minister of Magic, could you please give me permission to buy these several different things that I need for my Auror job. He can just walk in and be like, hey, I'm going to get this chewing gum that turns into a spider when you bite down on it. Give it to me. This rogue Death Eaters have never faced this type of torture. Oh, no, I accidentally gave it to Ron. That was meant for Stan Shunpike. Sorry.
Also, I think Harry would have liked to give Weasleys some money for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But he knew that he couldn't do it in kind of an appropriate way, in the way that they would feel good about it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure that was probably a factor a little bit.
Yeah. And a caveat of him giving Fred and George the money is also that they buy Ron new dress robes. Which I think
nice
is very sweet. And we never hear about it if they actually, I mean, sure, they went through with it, but, like, and I'm sure that because Harry gave them that instruction that, like, they were actually decent. But I can see Fred and George trying to find, like, any way around giving Ron an actually good present. Like, yes, they are very good dress robes that turn invisible for 10 minutes every day. Like, something like that. But I have to imagine that because that was literally Harry's one stipulation on them taking the money, that they did go through with it.
Or maybe they're perfectly new and look fine, except they are, I don't know, hot pink or something.
That would have been great.
He does say that they have to be good, though, I think, is his specification. Or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it is just new. But he says that like they have to say he does say that they have to tell him that they're from him. I mean, that they're from them and not Harry.
Yes.
So yeah, buy Ron some different dress robes and say they're from you.
Oh, different. You can smuggle all sorts of things under different. Well,
yeah.
They are different.
He also does say, "Take it or I'll hex you." So
I've gotten quite good at them now.
There's that as well.
I think there's one last question for Order of the Phoenix here.
For Goblet of Fire.
Yes, there is. Hermione kisses Harry on the cheek when Harry's leaving. That's just coming from me as a person who doesn't like unwanted physical contact. So when people do the whole kissing people while they're greeting them, I just feel it's weird. But it's also possible that it's just, being friendly. So I was just wondering what you guys think.
I think there's two thoughts that I have on this. The first one is that this always felt like a little bit of kind of throwing a bone to Harmony shippers of like, maybe Harry and Hermione will be together. Oh, we don't know. But I think it really is just like a sign that they're growing up. Like adult friends are more likely to do the cheek kissing greetings and goodbyes when it's not considered romantic at all. And I feel like that's kind of what this is here, is just another like instance of especially Hermione having grown up a lot. And that it's like her kind of progression into adulthood, whereas the boys are a little bit behind. But
maybe it's all her European holidays or something.
All her holidays and greetings.
Yeah, could be. Could be. I think it's that, like with all young adult books, every kiss is only sexual and romantic ever. So she's always been secretly into him. She never won't be secretly into him, and she'd leave Ron in a heartbeat if Harry just snapped his fingers.
Don't you dare.
No, I think she's just being kind. I think
this is a hill I will die on.
I don't think that Harry and Hermione should end up together in any way, shape, or form. I think that Hermione should have just basically been single and then had her concubines like Victor Crumb on the side. So, but none of that's actually true either. It seems like Ron and Hermione are the right thing. But I will say, I think that in this case, she is trying to express and emote more. I think that's part of her growing up.
Yeah.
And that this is a moment of her expressing and emoting in a way that she feels like connects with Harry on some level. Harry is such a physical being,
Yeah. Like somebody else we know. Crumb.
Crumb's more of a physical being. The 7 ingredients of today's special are...
The 7 people who hex Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle in Order of the Phoenix.
List them off. Number 1, Harry. Number 2, Harry.
No, Ernie, Hannah, Susan, Justin, Anthony, Terry, and Harry.
Nice.
Woo.
How many Hufflepuffs are in there?
4 Hufflepuffs.
Okay,
I
so
believe both Anthony Goldstein and Terry Boot are Ravenclaws.
So what you're telling me is that we get a whole book of one Hufflepuff doing some really cool things and then dying, and then their next moment of grandeur is either when Ernie gets hexed through nearly headless Nick, or petrified through nearly headless Nick, and or
Justin Finch Fletchley.
Oh my God. All right, kill me now, Patrick. Just lightning bolt me to death. Sierra, take it away. I'm dead.
Smite me down, oh
Smite me down, oh mighty Patrick. Cool. So you're telling me that we get a whole book of Cedric Diggory doing something cool, and then the next cool thing that a Hufflepuff does is 4 of them show up to hex Malfoy for Harry.
Heck yeah.
All right.
I mean,
well
they're also part of Dumbledore's army, which is why they're prepared to do this hexing in the first place.
Oh, so they're all secretly Gryffindors then?
What?
Dumbledore's a Gryffindor. He accepts nobody but Gryffindors. Molly,
I see.
Sirius,
Sure.
James,
Harry
Peter,
doesn't feel that way, though.
Remus, Alastor Moody, all Gryffindors, and Tonks was definitely a Gryffindor, never once a Hufflepuff.
No, never a Hufflepuff. Don't you dare take her away from me. Get out of here.
Hedwig died for Tonks' sins of being a Hufflepuff.
You are...
No more butterbeer for you, Sam.
Sam's tired. See, Sam, didn't you wake up like 2 hours before we started recording? You have no excuses. Well, hey, Ev.
Yeah.
What is playing on the pub's jukebox today?
Well, it is evening time. A lot of butterbeer has been drunk. The mood is mellow, so we're playing With You Whatever Happens by Lauren Fairweather, which is a brilliant slow dancing song. Highly recommend.
You overheard, and the word is they might close the school. What if they close the school? And then you say that either way you won't be coming back here. You're not coming back. Well, we knew you would say that, and Harry will be coming with you. We've all been through so much, but there's still so much to do. Know that we're here, we're not going anywhere. We'll stand beside you in the dark and we'll fight. You've got a long way to go. We'll keep you company on the road. You don't have to do this all alone. You have us, and we're with you, whatever happens.
Well, thank you so much, Hayley, for visiting us here at the Three Broomsticks. It was so awesome having you. It was amazing to chat Harry Potter with you again.
Yes, it was awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, come back anytime.
Is there anything that you want to plug? Any interesting things you have going on that you want others to know about?
Well, I started in college making these Harry Potter drawings because I love listening to the audiobooks, and that was like my escape, was just listening to the audiobooks and drawing what I saw as the scenes happened. And so then I put them into big square drawings that are comprised of every scene from every Harry Potter book, and I have 4 complete. And if you're interested in seeing them or purchasing them, they are on Etsy. I have an Etsy shop called Wizards Whimsy Art. So there's a link, wizardswhimsyart.etsy.com, and you can go check them out if you like.
Very nice.
Like to do it.
Very nice.
Sounds great.
We'll put that link in the description of the episode and make sure that it's tagged everywhere.
Thanks, Hayley.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so thank you again to Sam Omen, who bought us this round of drinks.
Woo!
But I think he slipped a few extra ones to Sam.
Always.
Because they share a name. But that's okay.
Favoritism. Dumbledore-esque favoritism.
And 50 more butterbeers to Sam.
So, if you'd like to buy us the next round, and if you just happen to share a name with me so I can get more drinks, that would also be great. You can head over to patreon.com/3broomsticks with the numeral 3 to sign up. And there's lots of great content, and I think you will enjoy it. And you can get a shout out, like Sam Owen.
Yes.
Yes, there's a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline for Patreon. A bunch of it's already up. We have everything from a Quidditch season.
Yes.
That is
fictional Quidditch season.
Yes, fictional Quidditch season. We'll be having Harry Potter themed D&D coming later this year. We will also, I guess this will be first announcement. We're going to have a stream of Hogwarts Legacy playthrough.
Yes.
So if anybody's interested in that, Sam and I will be doing that, chatting about it as we go. Ideas of what we want to see in the next one. We've both played it through, so this will be, but it's been a while, so it'll be fun to go through again. And so we've got, and then there's a lot of additional content, just things that we find interesting and chats between various groupings of us. So you can hear more about what we think other than in a chaotic environment such as this.
Too right.
You can also help us by rating and reviewing us. And if you like our show, tell your friends. Tell them to come to the Three Broomsticks. We have lots of fun. Word of mouth helps us hugely, and we always love to see your reviews and read them. And maybe if it's particularly good review, we will read it out on air. Who knows? But you will only find out either way if you rate and review us. So do it.
Social media time, people. You can find us on X, Instagram, or Facebook. Our assorted handles and our email address can be found in the episode description or on our website. Our website is 3broomstickspod.com. That's with the 3 spelled out. 3broomstickspod.com. We've got any links to essays we mentioned. You can also, oh please do, submit a topic and let us know your thoughts. We love reading your comments. We need more of them so that we can shout you out on our podcasts. Do it. Thank you.
Do it.
And the next time that we meet here at the Three Broomsticks, we will be discussing Half-Blood Prince Chapter 9,
Woo!
Half-Blood Prince.
Woo!
Continuing our titular episodes.
Well, that's it, y'all. I'm not, Warner Brothers can't sue me for that, because that's all, folks. Yeah, okay, great. That's it, folks. I'm Sam.
I'm Sierra.
And I'm Ev. Thank you for listening, and see you next time in the Three Broomsticks.
Cheers!
Give me big old buckets of butter beer. Give me big old barrels of butter beer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here of the sweet old butter beer.
This episode of The Three Broomsticks was edited by Patrick Musilek. The theme song was written and performed by the Faithful Sidekicks. Make sure to check them out at thefaithfulsidekicks.com.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
When are you gonna come out?
When?
Yeah.
We're almost done. Maybe like 15 minutes.
2 hours later.
Okay.
We are not done yet.
What are you doing, Mommy?
I'll be right back. Okay. You can tell Daddy if you want to have a yogurt for snack. You and Riley can have yogurt for snack.
What? I have a yogurt for snack.
Yeah. You help Daddy clean up?
Yeah, but you didn't let me. I didn't want to clean my. I didn't want to sandwich. I wanted to stay with you.
Okay, can you close the door, please, if you're going to stay in?
I would have yogurt, Mommy.
I know you got to wait for Daddy, though. He's going to get it for you. Cooper's currently clipping a hair clip onto his lips.
Nice.
As one does.
Yeah, it's a rite of life ever since hair clips were invented.
Okay, will this get you to forget about the non-chocolate one? Here you go.
It's a big one.
It is a big lollipop. There you go. Keep you occupied. It is a lollipop.
Oh my god.
Okay. Patrick's got lots of fun content for the end. Yes, baby. But Patrick, don't put in the end.
Da-da-da.
Yeah. Cooper, time to be quiet, okay?